Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to any new viewers. I've had an influx of new people recently. So yeah, welcome. My name is Sam and today we are going to do a scrapbook layout that's going to be quite mixed media-y. It's going to have mixed media in it. So I'm going to be using this palette that you can see to the side. This is an Artist Loft's watercolour palette, but all of the watercolours are iridescent. I got this in Hobbycraft before the lockdown happened, and it was in the reduced section. I think it was about £4. So I don't know, they probably normally run for about £6 or something like that. I don't think it had a lot of money off it. And I've just been loving this palette because it's so shimmery. So if you like shimmer, you might want to try and find one. So the plan here was to scrapbook a photo of Bill amongst some waves on our holiday, and the sun was setting, so it was quite a pale photo, and it had lots of, well, the colours I could see was sort of blues and browns and taupes and that kind of thing in the picture. So for this layout I decided to make a sort of ombre, and I was going to do just a kind of plain ombre blue, but I didn't prep my paper surface, so probably to get a bit of a nicer ombre fade I probably should have used some gesso in the background, but as is apparent from other layouts I can be a bit lazy, and I definitely was in this layout, and I just kind of was happy to go with the stripy look, which is definitely what I got here. I'm just adding a couple of other colours, like a really pale gold and like an oatmeal-y colour, I would describe it as, to kind of either end of this ombre look, to get it fairly even across the page, because I had ended up with it starting to become really, really dark on the right-hand side. Then I'm just adding splatters, and I'm just really watering down the watercolour paints to make them really sloppy so I can get some big splatters on there. And can you just see in that water, in my water there, the swirls of that kind of iridescence? Oh, I love it. So splatter, splatter, splatter. I'm being really big and crazy with the splatters. I don't care that it's pooling. I quite like it. So I was just kind of having fun. I'd only just recently bought the palette at the time that I made this layout, and I was just living it up. Enjoying that palette life. That will never become a thing. I don't know why I said that. Okay, and then I've got my heat gun and I'm just drying it off. I really like the effect from a heat gun. It's less blendy, if that makes sense. So you can see where those splatters have kind of merged with the background, because I'm then using the heat tool on it. They haven't really had time to kind of properly mingle with the background. So you end up with almost what looks like layers of paint. So I think if you want something to look really blended, I would say that you probably want to avoid a heat tool, and you want to put gesso in the background. But if you're quite happy with this kind of a layered splotchy look, then I think the heat gun is actually really useful for that. So then I've got my picture. It's a 6x4 picture. I very rarely scrapbook 6x4 pictures. In fact, the most I do scrap them is probably on this channel. So I tend to go for slightly smaller sizes. I do find it a challenge to work with 6x4. But I had some 6x6 paper pads to the side here. And I'm just running through these paper pads and picking out anything that I could use for the background. And I'm really wanting to kind of layer the background a bit. Layering is definitely something that I am kind of practicing. I don't think it's a skill of mine yet, but I keep trying with it. I think I give up sometimes before it's got to the point where it looks, decent. So here I'm having a little play and a little practice, and I'm just running through the paper pads, picking out anything that's in the colours in that background. So different shades of blues, teals, pale, kind of really pale blues, browns, taupes, greeny blues, literally anything vaguely greeny, bluey or brown. And then I'm just literally slicing up sections of the paper with the view of kind of layering these paper pieces up behind the photo. And this takes me a really long time, and I'd actually pause the camera at one point, so you're not going to see that whole process, but I've got quite a few layers of paper there, and then I'm just sticking the photo down onto the paper pieces here. So I'm starting with this cool kind of honeycomb paper, and I think I trimmed the photo down just a tiny bit so you could see a really thin border of that kind of dark blue behind it. And I did add a pale blue, which I did off camera again, and now I'm adding some foam tape behind these two, the photo and the two layers behind the photo. And then I'm going to add some double-sided sticky tape on this side of the foam. This is Fun Foam. I got it super cheap, and well, I got it £5. I thought it was expensive at the time, but actually it's lasted for ages. So and then I'm layering that up in a wonky fashion on top of the other mixture of papers, which I'd kind of stapled together, including a sort of banner as well, running through the background in that brown and white stripe paper, or craft and white stripe. And then I'm just plopping it down on the background. I'm really already liking how it looks. And to be honest, it's a very simple, straightforward layout, and not much is going to change with it. So I'm sticking down the word fun, which came from a thicker set. And then I'm using some Teresa Collins, like tiny alphas, and I'm writing in the. And then I'm going to use a different alphabet set, which came from possibly the Works or the Range, I'm not sure, but it's a glittery alphabet. And there's loads of letters in this. I'm really enjoying this alphabet set because I've still got, lots of words left to make, even though I've been using it for quite a while. So it just says fun in the waves. I'm just kind of pushing that down. And then I decided it would look cool if it was kind of bubbly looking, because they're in the waves and the sea and there's like foam. I was thinking about adding some sequins going up in a kind of vertically around that picture. So I'm just going through some different sequin mixes and just picking out any sequins that have the same sorts of colours. So I started with some really gorgeous, actually clear blue sequins, and then some larger circle confetti that's in a blue shimmery kind of confetti colour. And then I'm just having a look at any others that I could use. Decide not to use any in that one. These little screw pots are brilliant as well for keeping sequins in. I'd highly recommend them if you're looking for a way to store your sequins. I love how easy they are, and you can just screw your favourite ones, like all your favourite sequin pots together, and take them off to a crop or something like that. So I'm just adding a few more. These are ones that are just iridescent. They're not specifically blue, but they do kind of show up as quite blue on this camera actually. But they're like a clear iridescent finish to them. And then I have these tiny kind of word stickers. They came from a whole range of really old sticker sets, so you could use any tiny word stickers you had if you wanted to recreate the layout. But it says all things sunny and bright. I can't remember the other one. I can't see that one. Something to remember, or something like that. Anyway, and then I also have a label at the very bottom. All of the tinier word stickers, I'm just using foam tape behind them in various sizes, just to give a little bit more texture to the layout. And then I'm going to use this Pick Me Up tool and stick down my sequins. I don't show you loads of this, but all I do is use this sticky end of the tool to obviously pick up the sequin and then plop down a little bit of PVA glue and stick my sequin down. Yeah, it's quite useful actually. Sometimes I get annoyed by the picker-upper because my sequin gets stuck to it. And then I what's the word? End up just doing it with my finger. So can be useful, can be a pain in the butt actually. And then I'm just using a blue pen. This is kind of a fine nibbed pen. It's an artiste pen. I talk about it loads of times, or I've spoken about it loads of times. They come in lots of different colours in a pack, and they're great for adding journaling that kind of matches the colour scheme of your layout. Actually, this blue was a little bit too purple, but I didn't fuss over it. It's fine. And then I'm using a Mento Dewdrop ink in Paris Dusk, and I'm using a roller stamp. And this roller stamp is going to say, I've rolled it to say Endless Summer Days. And I'm just going to stamp it onto that label because I couldn't handle the label being blank. And then I'm also going to add some kind of ghost stamping by stamping off the darkest blue shade on the piece of paper there that you saw me do, and then I'm just stamping again in the vertical, so I'm actually creating almost like a T shape to the layout on its side, I guess. So yeah, which is I think a really nice way to structure a layout. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. This is the end. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.